Good morning. Today, we're covering a story that's been years in the making, one that could change the way we all use the internet. A federal judge has delivered a final verdict in the landmark antitrust case against Google, a case that's been closely watched by tech companies, regulators, and users around the world. On September 2nd, 2025, Judge Amit Mehta issued his long-awaited ruling. Google will not be forced to sell its Chrome browser, despite calls from the government to break up the tech giant. This decision brings to a close years of intense legal battles between Google and the U.S. Department of Justice, battles that have shaped the conversation about competition and innovation in the digital age. The government argued that breaking up Google was the only way to restore fair competition in online search and digital advertising. They claimed that Google's dominance stifled innovation and made it nearly impossible for new players to enter the market. But the court, after months of testimony and thousands of pages of evidence, chose a different path, imposing strict new rules on Google's business practices instead of forcing a breakup. The DOJ accused Google of using its immense power to shut out competitors, maintain its monopoly, and control the flow of information online. They pointed to exclusive deals, default settings, and other tactics that made it hard for users to choose alternatives. Judge Mehta's ruling acknowledges that Google does hold a monopoly in online search, but he stopped short of dismantling the company. Instead, he ordered Google to make significant changes to how it operates, aiming to open the door for more competition and give users more choices. For Google, it's a major win. They get to keep Chrome and avoid a forced breakup. For the DOJ, it's a partial victory, as the court recognized the need for oversight and reform. And for users, it means we can expect real changes in how we experience the web, from the search results we see to the choices we have in browsers and services. The case raises big questions that go far beyond Google. How much power should one company have over the internet? Should any single corporation be allowed to control the gateways to information, news, and commerce for billions of people? What should the government do when a single corporation controls access to the world's information? Should regulators step in more aggressively, or is innovation best left to the market? These are questions lawmakers and courts will continue to debate. The court's answer in this case will shape the internet for years to come, influencing not just Google but the entire tech industry, and the way we all connect, learn, and share information in the digital world. This legal battle began as Google grew from a search engine into a tech giant, expanding its reach into various sectors like advertising, mobile operating systems, and even self-driving cars. Its dominance in the digital world became a point of contention for many. In October 2020, the DOJ filed its lawsuit, joined by nearly every state, arguing Google's business deals locked out competitors. This marked one of the most significant antitrust cases in recent history, drawing comparisons to the Microsoft case of the late 1990s. Google paid billions to companies like Apple and Samsung to make its search engine the default on their devices. These deals ensured that Google remained the first choice for users, effectively sidelining other search engines. The government said these deals created a self-reinforcing monopoly, making it nearly impossible for rivals to compete. Smaller companies found it increasingly difficult to gain a foothold in the market, stifling innovation and consumer choice. In 2024, Judge Mehta agreed Google unlawfully maintained its monopoly in search and search advertising. This ruling was a significant blow to Google, setting the stage for potential changes in how tech companies operate. The trial's second phase focused on remedies. What should be done to fix the problem? Various solutions were proposed, from breaking up Google's business units to imposing strict regulations on its operations. Google defended its practices, claiming users choose Google because it's the best, not because of unfair contracts. The company argued that its success was due to superior technology and user experience. Google compared its payments to standard business competition, like paying for prime shelf space. They insisted that such practices were common in many industries and did not constitute unfair competition. The stage was set for a historic decision on competition in the digital economy. The outcome of this case would have far-reaching implications, potentially reshaping the landscape of the tech industry. The outcome would determine the rules for tech giants in the 21st century. It would influence how these companies could grow, compete, and innovate in a rapidly evolving digital world. The DOJ wanted Google to sell Chrome, arguing that owning both the top search engine and browser gave Google an unbeatable advantage. Chrome's user data helps Google refine its search and ads, strengthening its monopoly. The government said only a breakup could prevent Google from favoring its own search engine and blocking rivals. They compared Google's control to old railroad monopolies. Owning the tracks meant controlling all the traffic. The DOJ argued that changing Google's structure, not just its behavior, was the only real solution. Judge Mehta rejected the government's call to force Google to sell Chrome. He ruled that breaking up Google would be too extreme and disruptive. The judge cited the rapid rise of AI search engines as new competition that could naturally challenge Google's dominance. He noted that even if Chrome were independent, Google could still pay to be the default search engine. Instead, Judge Mehta imposed conduct remedies, rules to change Google's behavior without breaking up the company. He affirmed Google's illegal monopoly, but chose regulation over dismantlement. The decision aims to curb Google's power while preserving the convenience of its products. The court sends a message. It will intervene to ensure fair competition, but won't break up successful tech companies lightly. The focus now shifts to enforcing new rules. Instead of a breakup, Judge Mehta ordered Google to follow strict new rules for 6 years. Google is banned from exclusive contracts that make its products the only pre-installed options on devices. Device makers can now pre-install competing apps alongside Google's. Google must share parts of its search data with qualified competitors, helping them improve their own search engines. Exclusive default setting deals are banned. Apple, for example, can offer users a choice of search engines during setup. These changes aim to break Google's self-reinforcing cycle and give users more options. A special oversight committee will monitor Google's compliance. This independent body ensures Google follows both the letter and spirit of the court's orders. The remedies are designed to open the market without dismantling Google. The decision sends shockwaves through the tech industry, especially in the worlds of search and artificial intelligence. For years, Google has been the dominant force, shaping how billions of people access information online. Now, with new legal restrictions in place, the landscape is shifting, and the ripple effects are being felt across Silicon Valley and beyond. Smaller search engines like DuckDuckGo and Bing suddenly find themselves with new opportunities to reach users who might never have considered alternatives to Google. These companies can now compete on a more level playing field, but Google's immense financial resources and brand recognition still give it a significant advantage. Even with the door open, catching up to Google's scale and influence remains a daunting challenge. The ban on exclusive contracts and new data sharing rules are designed to help rivals gain a foothold. By preventing Google from locking up default search placements through secretive deals, regulators hope to foster genuine competition. However, Google can still pay to be the default, and its deep pockets mean it can outbid most competitors, keeping its search engine front and center for many users. For AI search startups like Perplexity and OpenAI, the new rules are a game changer. These companies now have a better shot at reaching users, since Google can't block them from key platforms like Chrome or Android. This opens the door for innovation and new approaches to search, potentially giving users more choice and better results. Judge Mehta specifically acknowledged the potential for AI to disrupt the search market, noting that emerging technologies could reshape the competitive landscape in ways we can't yet predict. His ruling reflects a recognition that the future of search may look very different from the past. Meanwhile, Google is investing billions in its own AI, Gemini, and is determined to stay ahead of the curve. With a massive user base and unparalleled access to data, Google can rapidly deploy new AI features, making it difficult for smaller players to keep up. The company's scale allows it to experiment and iterate faster than almost anyone else in the industry. There's a real fear among competitors and analysts that Google will use its familiar playbook to dominate AI-powered search, just as it did with traditional search engines. If history repeats itself, Google could quickly consolidate its lead, making it even harder for new entrants to break through. Ultimately, these new rules set the stage for a new era of competition in both search and AI. The outcome, however, is far from certain. Whether this leads to a more open and innovative market or simply reinforces the dominance of tech giants will depend on how companies, regulators, and users respond in the months and years ahead. Reactions to the verdict were swift and divided. Google called it a victory, relieved to avoid a breakup and promising to comply with new rules. The DOJ highlighted the court's recognition of Google's illegal monopoly and the new oversight as major wins. Google's competitors, like DuckDuckGo's CEO, criticized the remedies as too weak to change the market's power imbalance. Many rivals fear Google can still use its control over Chrome and Android to stifle competition, especially in AI. The ruling reflects a compromise regulation over Breakup, but not a full solution. For Google, it's about innovation. For the government, it's about fair markets. For competitors, it's survival. The debate over Google's power is far from over. This ruling is just one chapter in the ongoing story of digital competition. The rise of AI is transforming the search landscape. When the lawsuit began, AI search seemed futuristic. Now it's real and growing fast. Judge Mehta saw that AI-powered chatbots like OpenAI's and Google's Gemini are changing how we find information. Startups like Perplexity offer new, ad-free, answer-focused experiences that threaten Google's dominance. Google is integrating Gemini into its search, using its vast data and user base to stay ahead. The court's decision to avoid a breakup was partly based on the belief that AI is already disrupting the market. New rules prevent Google from blocking rival AI services on Chrome and Android, giving startups a chance. But Google's scale and resources still pose a huge challenge for competitors. The future of search will be a battle between the tech giant and nimble AI startups. What does this mean for you? It shapes your choices, privacy, and the innovation you see online. Google will likely remain the default search engine, but you may see more options when setting up new devices. Competing search engines and browsers could become more visible, giving you real alternatives. Increased competition may lead to better products, stronger privacy, and more innovation. The ruling also impacts online ads, aiming to make the digital economy more competitive and diverse. It's about keeping the internet open and fair, not just convenient. This decision redraws the boundaries for the most powerful gatekeeper of the digital age. Its effects will be felt every time you go online.